They say a big house, wide and bright, is the key to happiness. But the house I grew up in was so cold, so lifeless, that I never wanted to return. I came back to my hometown on a gray afternoon. The wind slipped under the eaves, lifting the thin layer of dust that had settled on the old motorbike leaning against the gate. It had been years since I last returned to this place, once a home, once alive with the laughter of 5 people gathered around the dinner table. Now, only one person remained, my grandmother. She sat bent and frail by the old wooden window, her eyes searching somewhere far away. She was nearly 90, for more than 10 years. She had lived alone in a house that once overflowed with children and family. I'm 35 now, and I came back, not out of longing, but because I had nowhere else to go. I carry inside me a terminal illness. The doctors told me to prepare myself. They said the cancer had spread. They also said, I don't have much time left. I didn't cry. In truth, I had long grown used to living without emotions. My heart froze the day I turned 7, the day my mother left me and my little brother behind to fly to America for work. Back then, we weren't well off. We were just children, but my mother believed that if she went abroad, we would have a better future. She promised she'd be back soon. Just a few years, she said, but those few years have stretched into more than 20. I still remember the day she left. At the airport, I was 7, my brother only 4. We cried until our throats burned. My father's eyes welled up, though he tried to stay strong. My grandmother held my mother's hand tightly, whispering words of advice through her own trembling lips. That moment, I imagined her return. I imagined how happy we would be when she came back. How our family would finally be whole. Not just in money, but in love. But I never imagined how hard life would become without her. The first 3 years, we lived in hope that she'd return soon. My father worked long days at a nearby company. My grandmother took care of us with tenderness, cooking our meals, making sure we were never alone. 3 years later, Mom came back. We were ecstatic. Her job was going well. She sent money home regularly. And she looked younger, more radiant than ever, as if America had given her a new life. I believed then that she would finally stay, that we'd start fresh, that happiness would return to our home. But she only stayed for a month. She told us her job in America was too good to leave behind. It would be a waste to quit. She said, no job here will ever pay me as much as over there. And so, after one short month, she packed her bags and left again. This time, she didn't say when she'd return. Since then, she's come back every 3 years, staying for a few weeks, then leaving once more. As the years went by, I grew used to the dullness of my family life, used to the empty chairs at New Year's dinners that were meant for people who never came home. Slowly, I lost all hope of ever having a warm, happy household. Each year that passed, the bonds within our family faded a little more, until what remained was only routine. Life just drifted along. Everyone did their own thing. My grandmother spent her days shuffling between the kitchen and the chicken coop, clinging to simple chores to fill the silence. My father worked long shifts at a nearby factory, sometimes not even bothering to come home at night. After finishing college, I moved to the big city for work. My younger brother, after high school, was taken by my mother to America. That was the day our family officially scattered, each of us living in a different place, bound by nothing more than a shared last name. I didn't leave because of ambition. I left because I wanted an escape, a new environment, Somewhere I could at least feel that life was still interesting. More than anything, I needed to get away from that cold, lifeless house we once called home. The word family no longer meant anything to me. And so, after moving to the city, I rarely came back. The long years without a mother, watching the bonds of my family unravel, left me so disillusioned that I even decided I would never marry. I rented an apartment in the heart of a glittering city, bought myself a car, but I never dated. The only companion I allowed into my life was Lido, my loyal, affectionate little dog. Last year, my father built another house. Big, shiny, modern. He said it was for me, for when I married and settled down. But to me, a big house without people is colder than a graveyard. And so that brand new house, beautiful on the outside, stands completely empty. To others, it looks like a symbol of success, a wealthy family, secure and happy, but no one knows the truth. That behind those polished walls lies nothing but silence and emptiness. Recently, I found out I had a terminal illness, one that could not be cured. So, I returned home. The house was the same, only colder, emptier. My father took me to the hospital to run the tests again. Almost as if he couldn't believe it was true. But the way he did it, it didn't feel like love. It felt like he just needed to confirm a piece of information. A few days later, he told my mother. She said she'd come back when she got vacation time, 3 months later. When I heard that, I didn't even feel angry. Just a sharp pain in my chest, then nothing. Because truthfully, I was used to it. Life went on as if nothing had changed. My father kept working. My brother stayed away, buried in his job. I went to the hospital alone, picked up my medicine, and got my injections by myself. Since Mom couldn't come back right away, she told Dad to hire a helper to look after me. I lost weight quickly. My body became frail. My grandmother worried so much she wore herself out and ended up in the hospital herself. She was nearly 90. There was nothing more she could do for me. When she heard this, my mother finally booked a ticket home immediately. The moment she saw me, she didn't ask a single question. She didn't need to. She could see everything written across my body, the illness, the suffering, the countdown. She just stayed, quietly, cooking porridge, rubbing my back, wiping my sweat, the things she should have done when I was a child. Every time I watched her bent over the stove, my throat tightened. If only you had come back sooner. What I needed wasn't just money. Mom, I needed you. I needed a family. It was the first time I spoke my heart. And maybe it was the last. My mother broke down, clutching my hand so tightly her knuckles turned white. Tears rolled down her face. She didn't say a word. The next week, the doctor called us into his office. He no longer used the word hope. He simply said, "I'm sorry." My mother froze. I watched her crumble, crying like a child. This woman, once so strong in America, was powerless before the one thing she could never buy, time. The days that followed were short, but they were the closest I had ever been to her. It felt like we were trying to make up for 20 years of distance in just a few weeks. Each morning, she would help me to the balcony, where my grandmother once sat waiting, where the wind still blew through seasons of emptiness. I don't know what my parents thought during those days. I don't know if, after I'm gone, they'll finally understand that chasing money at the cost of family is never worth it. But I understood something at last. Money is necessary when you have nothing. But there comes a point when you have to know what's enough, and use it to build happiness. not to sacrifice love in its name. So if you're far from home, working hard for your family, let me whisper this truth to you. Money can replace many things, but it can never replace time and love. A big house does not make a home. A full bank account can't buy back the hug of someone who's gone. And a promise to come back soon sometimes means never coming back at all.